Hi, this is Sahil here. In this video we will explore design visualization in 3ds Max Design 2009 and see what is possible in this new platform. See how to take your Revit models seamlessly into 3ds Max Design and continue your creative process. In this video we will also find out how to use 3ds Max Design for LEED 8.1 certification in lighting. See the possibilities for increased productivity when working on iterative design processes. Come learn about this and more. When you reach a point in Revit where you want to take your data and move it into 3ds Max Design, there are a few considerations you will want to make prior to doing so. First thing is to set a 3D view active, whether it is the standard 3D view or a camera view that has been placed in Revit. The next thing is to do is choose your level of detail as shown in the figure. If you can, use the coarse level of detail and still see all the revised geometry in the Revit. That is the best thing to do. This will help optimize the scene and make things much easier to work with in 3ds Max Design. Once you have set up your level of detail for 3ds Max view, then you will want to decide which format you will be exporting in for the course of the project. As highlighted in the figure number 2, there are two formats you can choose to work with to take your model from Revit to 3ds Max Design. By going to your File menu, pull down and going to Export, you will notice CAD formats are still available as they have been in past releases. However, a new one has been added for 2009 called 3ds Max FBX. This is the method Autodesk is really optimized in this release going forward. Choose to export via FBX from this menu. You will notice that it is fairly straightforward. As shown in figure 3, all you need to choose is a location to save the FBX format file and give name. As you can remember in a location easily to find. I typically export all my files to my import folder of 3ds Max Design project. 3ds Max project folders are something I will speak about further later. One possible workflow for linking a model from Revit is to export from Revit your FBX file. Import that into a base 3ds Max file to house your FBX data. Then extract that base 3ds Max file into another 3ds Max file which can also contain all your storage and other things which spice up your visualizations. Then if the design changes, export via FBX from Revit. Open the base 3ds Max file and delete everything and re-import the FBX file. For example, see this figure number 4. If you didn't want to delete everything from the base, 3ds Max only replace the items that changed. You will have to get busy with the select from scene dialog box. Just hit the H letter on your keyboard to bring it up. Right click on any of the property feed columns to choose the option column chooser to select additional category to display along the top. Once the column chooser appears, simply drag and drop from the chooser up to the fields you right click on the Revit category. Family and type, see figure 6. Since the data was brought in the FBX, additional metadata came through from a Revit which allows us to quickly identify and sort our data. To make things easier to find that might have changed, launch the material editor by hitting M on the keyboard or hitting the button shown in the figure. There are two areas of interest for a Pro material inside the material editor as highlighted in the figure. The first rollout will vary depending on the type of material you are working with. In the example of the right, it's shown a Pro material simulation wall and has turning parameters to adjust how the material will look rendered. This rollout would look different for wood or concrete but contain controls specific to those materials. The second rollout contains specific effect settings such as ambient occlusion and round corners. One should be careful with these settings. Turning this on for every material applied to every object in the scene could increase render time significantly. Rather, they should be used sparingly. Ambient occlusion should only be used on large flat surfaces such as floors, walls, or other large objects. Objects in the foreground of the image might have ambient occlusion turned on. Objects with extremely fine detail or ones that are far away should not have ambient occlusion turned on. Round corners should only be turned on for objects close to the camera. The same rule of the thumb for ambient occlusion and level of detail should be followed with round corners. When using the reveal workflow, there are a couple of things you can use it for. You can use it to re-render a small portion of your image or re-render specific objects in your scene to test different colors or materials in your scenes. See the figure 9 for the setting to use in a region and figure 10 for selected objects. The other part of the reveal workflow includes previewing lights and their influence directly in the viewport. To see them, right-click in the viewport as shown in the figure, then slide to Viewport Lighting and Shadows, Viewport Shading Best, then repeat again to select Enable Viewport Shadows selected. Depending on the quality of your video card is what will determine what you can preview in the viewport. The other thing you can do is top preview the highlight system in your viewport. To do so, go to your View menu, pull down Viewport Background and again Viewport Background as shown in the figure. Once you have Viewport Background dialog on your screen, check the following boxes: Use Environment Background and Display Background as shown in the figure. Clicking OK will allow you to see the sun disk in the viewport. This way, you can determine if the sun's disk will appear in a render image or not without spending the time to render it.